Hello, friends. Is India redefining democracy? The BJP-led NDA controlling the majority in Rajya Sabha took just about 4 hours to tell the people of India and the world how it will select its election commissioner, who is going to be responsible for conducting elections to the Lok Sabha and the Assembly in this country. The selection of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners, appointment conditions of services and term of office bill 2023 was passed on Tuesday in Rajya Sabha. It was introduced on August 10th of this year. This bill aims to regulate the appointment, the condition of service, and term of office for the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners, as well as outlines the procedure for the functioning of the Election Commission. An important position. Media reports point out that Rajya Sabha Chairman Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar made an important observation during the debate on this particular bill on the election commissioner and election commissioner's selection. I'm quoting what the media quoted. It said, Mr. Dhankar said the parliament is the supreme body when it comes to lawmaking. We cannot suffer interventions of any other organ, be it executive or judiciary. Reflections in the Supreme Court are not binding on the Parliament. There cannot be any interference from any other entity, be it the executive or the judiciary, on lawmaking. Now, this is interesting. Is Mr. Dhankar indicating that the legislature, executive, and judiciary will not work in a sync in a democracy, will not take care of the checks and balances as envisioned in the Constitution? Well, I leave it for you to interpret. One provision of the bill now passed by Rajya Sabha could be detrimental to the transparency and integrity of the Election Commission of India, which is very, very critical for any democracy in any country. Please listen to me carefully now, this particular provision. The President would appoint Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner based on the recommendation of a selection committee comprising the Prime Minister, a Cabinet Minister, and the Leader of the Opposition or the Leader of the largest opposition party in the Lok Sabha. The recommendation of this committee would remain valid even in the absence of a full committee. A very, very critical clause in this bill. We will only get to know its criticality when there is a crisis. Hope there won't be a crisis. One more thing which brings to our mind is this not blatantly against the spirit and soul of the arguments which the Constituent Assembly members made, especially Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, when the Constituent Assembly was discussing this particular provision? As a Naagrik of India, that we call mother of democracy, I feel it is our national duty to know, at least now, if we have not read or heard till now, I humbly request that all of us please do so what Dr. Ambedkar said during the Constituent Assembly while discussing this particular provision. I am sharing a few lines about why I think this provision, which is in the bill just passed by Rajya Sabha, will make the position of the Chief Election Commissioner easily compromisable and also the functioning opaque. So on June 15, 1949, when the Constituent Assembly discussed the provisions included in the draft constitution for setting up an independent election commission, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar explained the background of the draft provision as it stood at that time. And I'm quoting from that. I'm quoting from a few lines from that. In a very early stage, in the proceeding of the Constituent Assembly, a committee was appointed to deal with what are called the fundamental rights. That committee made a report that it should be recognized that the independence of the election commission or elections, and avoidance of any interference by the executive in the elections to the legislature should be regarded as a fundamental right and provided for in the chapter dealing with the fundamental rights. After discussion, it was said no, it needs to be a separate clause, it cannot be part of the fundamental rights. Now, look at the importance they gave or they felt it required. The newly amended clause in the bill passed in Rajya Sabha does allow interference by the executive. So, that fear has come true. Dr. Ambedkar further told the Constituent Assembly, again I am quoting, the House affirmed without any kind of dissent that in the interest of the purity and freedom of elections to the legislative bodies, it was of the utmost importance that they should be freed from any kind of interference from the executive of the day. This is the foundation of a transparent election machinery to function. The Rajya Sabha, while discussing this bill, witnessed strong opposition to this particular provision of the bill. I mean, there were many opposition to the many provisions, but there was a strong opposition. One of the reasons they walked out was it. It itself, shadows the fact that the dissent is not being considered. I mean, in normal course, it would have been better if it had been sent to a committee, a standing committee of the parliament, and probably discussed, debated. This is not the democracy as we have learnt in school, colleges, and universities. Dr. Ambedkar further told the Constituent Assembly, so far as the fundamental question is concerned, that the election machinery should be outside the control of the executive government. There has been no dispute in the Constituent Assembly. The Article 289, while Constituent Assembly was discussing, transferred the superintendent's direction and the control of the preparation of the electoral rolls and all elections to parliament and the legislatures of the state to a body outside the executive to be called the Election Commission. It is abundantly clear that the Constituent Assembly wanted the Election Commission outside the executive branch's control. It had a conviction that even an iota of influence by the executive would result in an election commission failing to inspire confidence among the political parties and the public about its impartiality and its ability to hold free and fair elections. How can India be the mother of democracy where there is no guarantee, no warranty that the election commissioner selected with executive interference will have the ability to hold free and fair elections? After all, the Prime Minister is from the ruling party. The Cabinet Minister has to be from the ruling party or the alliance of the ruling party. So where is the impartiality? Don't the Naagrik of India, and I as a citizen want that guarantee? We certainly do. So please comment and suggest. Till the next video, take care, be safe.